Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us to somehow talk about SpaceX and Neuralink in a very short time frame. So we're going to start by talking about SpaceX. All three of us cover it pretty extensively. We've been to many launches, including you and I going to every single launch except for the first catch. Who here has seen a SpaceX launch in person? In person, yes. It's kind of mind-blowing, right? What about a catch? Yeah. I mean, it's like watching CGI in real life. It's hard to believe what you're seeing with your own eyes. And so we want to start by talking about SpaceX. This is, huge. Literally, it's a huge rocket, the world's first fully reusable, largest rocket. And let's talk about currently where we're at here in 2025. We've had 3 catches so far and some ship troubles.
This year has been tough for Starship. We've had a Ship 36 explosion recently at the test site, which basically stopped everything that they're doing there right now. But they're already working on a fix, and we're actually, hopefully in August, we're going to get the next launch number 10. This is to be expected. Plenty of, let's say, traditional media out there is focusing on the rockets exploding, and on Elon Musk is very much under pressure right now in public. And so they love these kinds of news.
Sure.
But in the end, it comes down to them building the largest rocket that has ever been attempted, flown, constructed, conceived. It's supposed to be fully reusable, and that's something that many people forget. It's supposed to be mass produced, which is a completely different thing. SpaceX is flying the Falcon 9. Everybody here probably knows that one. And they're in Hawthorne, California. They're building the upper stages. The boosters, they don't build that many because they land them. But the
reuse them.
And reuse them, exactly. But the upper stages, they're producing an upper stage every 2.5 days in that factory, which is something that is completely unprecedented. And then there comes Starship, which is way bigger, and they want to produce 3 of them per day, 3 Starships per day. And so you have to design the rocket with this in mind, and that's what makes the problem even harder. And that's why we're seeing them explode. That's why we're seeing them fall apart, produce beautiful light shows in the sky and all these kinds of things. But there's one thing we shouldn't forget. The booster's already flown, landed, and reflown. So the SpaceX is already at the point where they have the largest booster ever built, and they're already reusing it.
And catching it in little chopstick arms on the Mechazilla Tower. I mean, people kind of scoffed at this idea. How is that possible? And they just continue to push the bounds of what's possible.
Yeah, it's a giant rocket right next to the sea in ex-Boca Chica. Now it's called Starbase City. When they presented this project the first time, I'm kind of an expert on rockets, and I saw this concept of this tower with these arms that was supposed to catch the largest rocket in the world. It's still, I mean, you've seen the catch. I haven't even seen a catch yet. Or have you seen the catch?
Yes.
I haven't seen a catch yet. I'm always busy in the studio streaming it. But I've been invited. I'm Joe. I'm really going to take you up on that.
You're also waiting until they're doing it in Florida, which shouldn't be that long from now.
Hopefully within the next 12 months,
Elon
maybe.
time.
Yeah.
Let's talk Joe. I mean, we have been to basically every single launch together except for Flight 5. Tier. But
we did live stream it, even though I was in California and you were in Paris.
In Paris. Oh, the worst time to be in Paris. So let's talk about, we have seen what the year has unfolded. There's some criticism, some doubts maybe from people who aren't as familiar with where SpaceX started, just in terms of Falcon 9, Falcon 1. So let's talk about, just kind of currently where we're at with the program.
All right. Well, Felix mentioned a lot of very important parts about what's going on with Starbase and SpaceX and what they're trying to do with the Starship program. And some of you out there who know me more from Giga Texas may wonder, why am I talking about space? And that basically my background is actually in space. So that's why with Ellie we were able to kind of bring our talents together and be able to cover all the launches. But what I want to talk about that kind of links a little bit of what they're doing with Tesla and the factories and what they're trying to do with SpaceX and the Starships. You know, the flexibility, the resilience, first principles thinking, agile project management, and something called minimum essential capabilities, all of which we have heard about. We have seen that within Tesla and its factories. We're seeing that with SpaceX and the development of the Starship. And the problems that we're having with the version 2 ships, what we saw, what Felix mentioned at the Massey's, these are, challenges that they're having to overcome. But the most important part of what Elon companies are bringing, what they're doing down in SpaceX, is these ideas that I just mentioned to you. And one of the things that is on full display right now is what happened at Massey's and the outcome of that.
And how they're able to, adapt and overcome. Let's
Exactly.
talk about what they're
Quickly,
doing,
yeah.
to solve that problem. I mean, if your testing site is damaged for how many months now, let's talk about the fix.
So in traditional linear thinking of how you do approach issues like this, is you might think it's going to take them months and months to rebuild Massey's. They're going to have to acquire all of the supplies, rebuild the whole thing. And then they had a decision of, do they do that for the V2 ships, knowing that those are going away pretty soon, or do they do them for V3s? So it looked like it was going to be an extremely long time. But with typical SpaceX and that flexibility and the resilience, they looked at another option. And one of them is to use something that's pretty routine there, and that's a transport stand for the ships, doing some modifications and being able to use the existing orbital launch mount as a way to restore those capabilities and be able to do the static fires that are necessary for the last 2 of the V2 ships. And that's undergoing right now. And hopefully that'll be, in the next couple of weeks, that'll be completed, and we'll get a good idea of when, the next flight's going to happen. But what is so important about this, and how does this relate to SpaceX's mission trying to go to Mars? And that is this idea, the philosophy that they have with all of their workers and how SpaceX is approaching things is going to be critical for when we get to Mars, because not everything is going to go smoothly. There are going to be setbacks, there's going to be challenges, and the people that are there are pretty much going to be on their own. So they're going to have to figure out live, real time, what do we do with the equipment and the capabilities that we have present to be able to allow us to survive and continue to build the colony. And so despite the challenges we're seeing now, as Felix mentioned, some people with criticisms about what's going on and is this going to work or not, I think that they're building the foundations that are necessary to make Mars successful. And this story, and also what we see with Tesla and how they are overcoming a lot of very big challenges, is really what sets them apart and why I am covering this and why I'm so excited about that.
Well, not only are you covering it, but Felix and I quit our jobs to cover this. I mean, this is not only a big story that's going to be continuing, it's big for all of us. Every single one of you here in the audience, this is going to affect all of us in a very positive way someday. So let's zoom out a little bit and talk about the larger mission and, why they are still on track and how this is going to benefit humanity.
Now, Felix did a really great video. I'm not going to steal all your thunder, but he just did it recently. I would recommend you go on his channel and watch that. He may speak a little bit about this, but
like and subscribe.
Oh, come on. Thank you. One question that's often publicly discussed right now is if and when SpaceX is actually going to succeed with this, or if there is any real chance. The reason why we quit our jobs in the beginning is because if this works out, it's the biggest chapter that we could possibly embark on. If this works out, it'll change the path of humanity like few other things before, and that's why we report about this. If Musk says it himself all the time, and actually in every talk that he gives, he says if we can get multi-planetary, if we are a species that lives on 2 planets, it proves that we can do this anywhere in the universe. If you can do it on one other planet, you can do it on any other planet. It shows that you can do that next step that is needed ultimately to maybe even leave our solar system. So it doesn't matter when they're doing it. The Mars launch windows are a topic that comes up all the time. Right. Next year, there's the next one, and then people say, oh, they're not going to make it next year. It doesn't matter much.
Yeah,
If they do
right.
it in 2035, it's still going to be absolutely amazing and incredible. So that's that's the reason why we get so many views
Yeah.
on our channels, because it's a huge topic.
Although we've been hurting lately, having less Starship launches, it needs to launch again.
It's a short-term thing. They're soon going to be launching out of 2 places.
Yeah, absolutely.
3 per day.
Yeah.
3 Starships produced per day.
Well, I want to talk too. I mean, it's definitely worth, if you guys haven't been to Starbase, going to Starbase. It's
Go.
unlike anywhere else,
Yes.
that you would see rockets. It's certainly not like Kennedy Space Center. What's your favorite thing about going to Starbase?
Well, first of all, I just want to reiterate that if you can go to Starbase, I would go as soon as you
Now.
possibly
Go.
can.
Now.
Yes.
The part
Like
of the
leave.
reason, yeah,
Just kidding.
part of the reason is that they're building a lot of infrastructure there that's going to support some incredible amount of production and launches that are going to go on there. But to do that, they have to build the infrastructure, and much of the infrastructure, for example, the gigabay that they're going to be building, that's going to be necessary to build the ships and the boosters at these quantities, is effectively a giant wall, and it's going to wall off a lot of the things that we have seen in the past that kind of become recognizable parts of Starbase. And, there's still the ability for you to come down to Highway 4, get up close to the production
You
facility.
can get so close.
You can. It is unlike anywhere.
Yeah.
It's incredible. You can stand in front of it. It's the launch site, the production site, you can. I live in Florida. 10 miles. For 3 years I lived 10 miles away from the rocket pads in Florida. So I've seen 200 launches plus at this point. But you see the launch and it's incredible and it rattles you and you're cheering on for SpaceX. But at Starbase,
Yeah.
you're standing in it basically. You get so close. There is no other rocket construction site that you can get that close to.
Yeah.
Right. There is nothing like standing maybe 150 yards away from a rocket that tomorrow is going to launch. And
Yeah.
it's the biggest rocket
It's incredible.
that has
Right.
ever been built.
Well, and now we can, go back pretty soon. They actually open up the road and see the booster
Yes.
sitting there in the chopsticks. I mean, it's kind of unreal. It's definitely worth going to, and maybe not a lot of people know you can also walk behind the mudflats area and get really the closest view.
Yes, you can. And the last thing I'll just say on here, so we can go down to Ryan, but be honest, your first time that you heard that they were going to land these on a chopstick, and you talked a little bit about that, but really, what was your reaction? No
knowing-
frickin' way.
Knowing Elon Musk, I was like, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Because the guy, that's not his only idea that he's
Yeah.
had. I mean, this look behind us.
Yeah.
If these companies that Elon Musk founds have one thing in common, it's that they're revolutionary.
Yeah.
And catching the largest rocket booster ever falling out of the sky with a giant robot in the dunes of Boca Chica fits right into that.
Which, speaking about his companies, maybe we should turn some attention to Neuralink. Ryan, nice to see you. I still don't know if you have a Neuralink chip yourself.
I don't have a Neuralink, but that's one of the magical things about it is that you wouldn't be able to tell.
Let's talk about it, because last year you and I had the privilege of interviewing the first Neuralink patient ever, Nolan Arbaugh. I interviewed him virtually. You actually went to his house and spent some time with him. And it's incredible that he is able to use his brain to text, to play video games. You can imagine how liberating that is. So tell me about, what it was like to interact with him in person and see how this has really seriously changed his life already.
Yeah, the first thing that I should say is he and his mom and his family are fantastic advocates for Neuralink, the company, and Neuralink, the technology. So it was a pleasure to meet them, and I think they present Neuralink in a fantastic light. He also has additional new hope for the future to be even better than it was before. He's also able to be less of a burden on his caretakers. So this is just tremendously inspiring technology, and I'm excited to continue following it.
Well, and it's crazy because now we're up to 9 patients?
Yes, the last 2, 8 and 9, were done in Miami, Florida.
Wow. And so talk about, they're also working not only to help people who are paralyzed, but they want to work on helping the blind.
Yep, this coming year, they're going to be doing their trials for their next product called Blind Sight. And this is going to be a visual prosthesis to help the blind navigate the world. So it's not going to be completely giving a full restoration of vision that's high resolution in the way that you or I could see, but it's going to be able to help them navigate the world. And, trying to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's blind, if you could just make sure to avoid bumping into walls or tripping over objects, then that's a huge help.
I feel like Starship is so inspiring for humanity, but Neuralink is on a much more personal level. Can you tell us some of the other ambitions that they have in terms of helping people with different ailments?
Sure. I mean, this is why I started following Neuralink so closely, is because I'm very inspired by Neuralink's mission to help solve. I mean, Elon's talked about solving all neurological conditions. Any brain or spine problem could be resolved. And I mean, if somebody is paralyzed and then they're able to walk again, like that's just so impactful, deeply impactful. And I think the best way to measure is the impact of Elon's companies is to talk about like how many people it's affecting and to what degree. Well, the depth of positive impact with Neuralink is unlike any other.
I want to talk about, this idea of this chip being planted into your brain. Can you give us like just a quick summary of how big it is and how exactly they're able to do that?
Sure. So it's basically the size of a quarter, maybe 5 quarters stacked on top of each other, and connected to that package are a bunch of metal threads that get surgically implanted into the brain tissue. And those threads are reading the electrical activity of the neurons. And from that information, you can understand what the brain wants to do or see, hear, feel. And the second generation devices, or I guess their next product, Blind Sight, is going to be able to write information into the brain. So they'll be able to stimulate specific areas, and that's how they're going to be able to help the blind see.
I want to take a quick pulse of the audience right now. Who here is excited and optimistic about Neuralink? Okay, great. Who here might be a little skeptical? Okay, we got some honest people. That's something, I've made a few videos about Neuralink. Of course, this is your main niche, but there is some skepticism. Some people really don't like the idea. It kind of seems too dystopian. So what would you say to those people?
Yeah, I think a lot of the concerns are valid. With the first, fortunately now we have 9 patients at least that have been implanted with this device, and it seems to be working quite well. And certainly the impact for Nolan and Brad and Rob, the folks that I've interviewed, like the impact on them and also their immediate friends and family are profound. Like in the case of Brad, he wasn't able, like he has ALS. He was not originally able to go outside at all because his eye gaze tracker was not functional outside. But now with the Neuralink, he is able to do that. So he's able to go to his kids' robotics competition or go to the pool and just see his kids play. And, that's just such a heartwarming thing to be able to do. And I think that's only going to continue more and more in the future.
Yeah, it's only going to get more advanced, and it's already enhancing the quality of life so much.
Definitely. And then I guess the other thing that I've seen a lot from my channel is there's a lot of like social or religious views that cause people to think that this is not a device that they would want. And I think one of the best things is that this is not going to be a mandatory device, or at least I certainly hope that it's not mandated in any way. But as I was speaking to Brian earlier, like if somebody wants this as an option, then it's fantastic that it's available to them.
Well, I want to also talk about, maybe in 10 years from now, I think just maybe a lot more people would want it for other uses. Talk about why you think it might be applicable to all of us.
Right. The sci-fi applications of this device are pretty wild. Like if somebody wants telekinesis, telepathy, to be able to like mind read or even teleport for some, because you could basically imagine having this implanted in an Optimus robot or some other digital machine that's off in a totally different place. I mean, if you have an Optimus robot that's like on the top of Mount Everest, and it has all the sensors to see and hear and smell everything that's there, and you stimulate your brain to feel those exact same things, then, I mean, you're basically teleporting. So a lot of these sci-fi applications are pretty crazy.
Well, you heard it here in 2025. You'll remember this day forever once that's a possibility. And I want to talk about, a lot of Elon's companies kind of tie into each other. If you're a Tesla fan, you're probably a SpaceX fan, maybe you're a Neuralink fan. And Neuralink could also have some pretty practical application for Starship and Mars. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I just did a video about exactly that, how AI will have to be involved in all these kinds of endeavors. And it's not just that. As you just said, you can basically teleport into it when the bandwidth is high enough. This turns into a reality switch. It's absolutely incredible. You have the Boring Company, which is another Elon Musk company that is absolutely going to be necessary on Mars because you'll have to dig a lot on the surface. In the beginning, you won't be planting daisies there. It's not that nice. So staying underground is going to be very important, at least during large parts of the day. You have the Teslas, where Musk has already even said the Cybertruck, that's a Mars rover beta test. And he's right. Because you won't be able to drive a combustion car on Mars. There's no air, there's no oil, it won't work, and so on and so forth. So Musk's companies are all, there's this theory, and it's been going on for almost a decade now, I'd say, that all these companies that he's founded are secretly all tied together into that one goal of getting us to Mars, which, I mean, imagine if it's true. Imagine. It's just incredible.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, but if you want to learn more about this, you can come find us at the Influencer Tent. We're there for a bit, and we would be happy to talk to you more about SpaceX or Neuralink. I think it's a very exciting time to be alive, and I'm glad you guys are all interested in what's going on.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, guys.